Hi, everybody. Welcome to your March MiniCast. I am your host, Tenecia Waddell-Pyle,
and I am the co-host, John Soderberg, and here are your monthly awareness highlights.
All right, awesome. So you guys see all of the monthly awareness highlights that we have. And just remember that those highlights are going to look a little bit different because we have partnered with the Global ERG Network. So now they do our calendars. They're much more abbreviated form, but also still chock full of information. And you can still find those in the Ready app. You can find them on the MyPath website under calendars. And then you will also see those come out in those monthly emails that I send out at the beginning of the month. Also, don't forget that the cultural competency training is out. So as everyone has seen, the email came out from Terry, kind of highlighting that and talking about it. That training has been out for a while. We put it out last year sometime, but now it's officially in Workday. So now you can access it in that space as well. So make sure you go in there and check it out and take it. It's the cultural competency and civil rights training. It's about a little over 24 minutes long. And there's also a quiz at the end. But it's really good. So take the time to check it out. It's voiced over, all that fun stuff. So it's really good and visual.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Good. And then kind of jumping into, these last couple, we've been sort of doing a rumor has it section. Mm-hmm. So this month we want to tackle with everything that's kind of going on in the climate of DEI in our world, right?
Yeah.
In the United States. The concept that DEI is actually divisive, or a term we'll use, the zero-sum game, right? So meaning where the gains for one group are perceived to be a loss for another group, and that these efforts really are just inherently divisive because they're seen as benefiting certain groups potentially at the expense of others, right?
Right, and that's definitely not a thing. When you think about creating equity and inclusion for people, it's not something that people often think that, we're creating, racial equity, gender equity, and whether it's equity for people that have different abilities or that are neurodivergent, it doesn't mean that you're taking something away from someone. And oftentimes people have that misconception that that's what it's doing. When you create equity, it's actually giving people what they need to succeed. So it could be anybody who needs something that helps them have that success or help them get to a point of where they can have thriving. That's what you're doing. So it's not that you're taking anything away from anybody if they don't need anything. You're just providing supports and access to people that need it.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting part about, right? Like the concept being inherently in that you're sort of acknowledging that this other group doesn't have something, right? Like, well, I've got to take something to give something to them. Right. So I think for me, the question is, well, what is it they don't have, right? And it's about giving them what they need, right, to be fair and equitable to you. And I think depending on how anybody wants to approach something, you can make something divisive or not.
Right.
Now here, that's not our intention and our plan, and we strategically work really hard to make sure the groups are aligned together, aligned overall, and that everything is interwoven. And one of the things Tenecia and I have definitely talked about before, and even about this topic, I tend to always try to assume people are noble. I know that not everybody on this planet is, but I try to assume that they are, and that when people think this, they're coming from that space of well, I just treat everybody the same, or the worst comments around, right? We're a melting pot, or I'm colorblind. I don't see color, like those kinds of concepts, without realizing. I understand that I think people's intentions, they think are good when they say that. Like I think they think they're good. But they're really, what you're doing is not acknowledging that people are actually different and do come from different backgrounds, including yourself. So if you don't see yourself in one of these groups, you have a background. You have experiences, life experiences that differ from every other person on this planet. So when we say, well, we're all the same, or I treat everyone the same, you're not really acknowledging the fact that everybody does have nuance and difference. Some at bigger and different levels. And that's just at a microcosm of an individual versus the macrocosm of our society and how our society approaches people. So you want to make sure you're acknowledging that factor. And like you said, give people what they need. And in the work that we do with the individuals that we serve, we actually don't treat everybody the same, right? So I've heard that before. Well, I give everybody the same, treat them all the same, but we actually don't. Everything we do is about individualizing based on that individual's needs and strengths,
right?
So one of the prime examples is if you have an individual who is a verbal communicator and you have an individual who is a nonverbal communicator, you don't treat them the same when it comes to their needs related to communication.
Right.
Do you treat them both with the same level of respect and care and dignity and love? Yes, absolutely. But what those actions look like is to be able to do that to this individual, I'm going to have to make sure that I'm meeting their communication needs. It may be through picture exchange communication, it may be through an augmented device. It will differ from how I approach somebody who's a verbal communicator. And we don't bat an eye at that. That we consider normal and empowering, right? So it's the same concept.
It's the same concept that we really want to be able to empower people, no matter what space they're in, to bring their whole selves to work, to be authentic, to be able to do the work that they need to do in a way that they can thrive. So when you think about DEI, it's not divisive. It's actually very essential in creating environments where all individuals are valued, respected, heard, and seen. So that's essentially what you want to do. And then when you think even more so about what diversity, equity, and inclusion can do, it can create enhanced innovation and creativity. It creates more problem solving, all of these different things that come into play because you don't have a homogenous group of people. You have people that are from all walks of life, from all sorts of experiences that are bringing those experiences into a workspace to be able to really do some wonderful things, not only for each other, but also for the people that we serve as well.
Yeah. And I think maybe a better approach would be, instead of assuming that the work is taking something from you, right? Is to think about, how does the work enrich you, right? Because even if you don't identify in a particular group or with particular life experience, acknowledging, understanding, seeing individuals, learning where they're from actually enriches you and adds value to you. So it's actually additive, value added to you as well, right?
That part. That's exactly what I was going to say, that it adds value. It's not about taking anything from anybody. It's about adding value into the space, adding people lived experiences, their professional experiences, and everything that they come to work with to be able to do some amazing things. So it's definitely a value add and not something that takes things away from anybody, and just being able to connect and support each other.
And the things we need to give is visibility, voice, respect, dignity. These aren't things that have a finite amount, right? It's not like you're drawing against your dignity bank and you're going to run out and I can't give more. Those are all things we can give more of to all people.
Yeah, and being able to see people win, because a lot of times you hear things like when people do say, well, I see that this group, they're paying attention to this group this month, they're doing this group this month. So what about me? And what is that? What does that mean for me? But it's like, maybe these are historically marginalized groups. Maybe these are historically excluded groups that never had these opportunities. So when they get to have the same things that other people have been afforded those opportunities, it's like seeing somebody win. And it's like, you're not mad at that. You're like, great, that's awesome. I see these great things happening. I want to learn more so I can help celebrate and know how I can be a better ally, or be able to show up for my co-owners better, or be able to serve the different individuals that we have in our company better, or to be even a better community member by learning and making sure that you have an understanding and awareness of all the diversity that comes into any of these spaces that we are in.
Yeah. And I think one just kind of final thought on exactly what you said, I would agree that different groups shouldn't have to have special months to highlight those kinds of things. And I think that's where people come to. But what you have to acknowledge is that those groups and those individuals have historically been not represented to this day. So you can't just say, well, I think we should just always be including everybody all the time, because I would agree with that statement. You have to acknowledge, though, that we don't. Right? And we're not there. And there's a process to get there. And this is going to be part of that process until we get there. And a lot of those times do have historical markers as to why those months and those dates, right? There's usually key dates tied to those months that are important to those groups. So it is just about learning.
It's just about learning and
sharing the
embracing
spotlight guide.
Yes, share the spotlight, learn, embrace the learning, and use it as a way to help you just engage and help support people better. So it just make everything better.
Yeah.
It makes the world a better place.
Makes the world better. I mean, how can we all be mad about wanting to support one another?
I know.
We need about each other.
Right. Yeah, that's a powerful thing. So
that's our rumor has it for this month.
That's our rumor has it. We could have went on
much longer, but
this is what you get.
Our director's cueing us that we're going too long.
Right. Wait, what's that?
The clapboard. Yeah. So with that, that ends this month's MiniCast. So we'll see you next month.
We'll see you next month.